expected to release 8 of the 9 bond decisions for the suspects allegedly involved in a massive brawl in Hephzibah. News 12 NBC 26's Rheya Spigner was in the courtroom yesterday. And Rheya, what should we expect from today's hearings? We were expecting a decision yesterday because as bond hearings go, this was a very long one and it was very involved.
It was very involved, and he decided to do that today because he wanted to hear everyone, but we'll talk a little bit about why later. Emotions in the courtroom ran high yesterday, and the bond hearings ran longer than expected as we watched lawyers play this fight video multiple times in order to plead their client's case. We heard from 6 suspects yesterday and plan to hear from Demetrius Harris and his mother, Eyvette Byrd, this morning. The fight started from a conflict brewing over social media and a relationship triangle between several members of this group. It was stated in the court that some of these suspects were affiliated with gangs, but that this was not a gang fight. However, we learned yesterday that some of the members involved walked to the fight from Eyvette Byrd's house, including her daughter. Byrd was also in the dark car seen in that video, driving towards some people fighting. You see right there. The victim, Demajhay Bell, also got in Byrd's car after Harris is seen stabbing him. State says that Byrd started driving Bell to the hospital, stopped, got out to confront someone else, and that's when Bell tried to drive himself. After that, the ambulance was called and he was taken to the hospital. And again, we are also expecting to hear from Demetrius Harris's lawyer today, as well as who we didn't hear from yesterday because he was not present, or we didn't hear from him yesterday because he wasn't present. Everyone in this case is being held up on the same charges, and that's aggravated assault and murder.
And the judge has, again, not released any of his decisions based on bond for any of the suspects, but the reason behind that, obviously, just the sheer volume of suspects here. He had a lot to consider, and there are a lot of different pieces to this puzzle and different roles played by so many people in this fight.
There's so many things to consider, as you said. I mean, some people had weapons, some didn't. I mean, it just goes on. When I was in that courtroom yesterday, just hearing all the different elements was a little overwhelming. So I can kind of understand that he's waiting to hear everybody's side, and then he's going to place that verdict. And he also stated to state yesterday that if there's any restrictions to consider from, restrictions on social media or surrendering their phone, that they would talk about that yesterday, and then that might be involved in the verdict as well today.
On the bond decision, rather. But it's interesting to think about this because the sheriff said anyone who was arrested was there. They were all part of it. They're all charged with murder. This time, the judge is carefully looking at each person's individual role. So, of course, we'll be paying attention to see what happens with that. We'll let you know as well.